Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm finally bringing you my November and December roundup. I know this is coming very late, but I just didn't feel ready to give you my final opinions on all of these products. I felt like I needed to try them out just a little bit longer, so I feel ready to do so. So that's what's on today's plate. If you aren't familiar with my roundup videos, I usually take all of the new products I brought into my collection that month and I give you my final opinions on all of them. I separate the products into three categories. So the first one is my favorites, the second one are my liked products, and the last category are my disappointments or the products I just found unmemorable. So in my favorites, these are the products that performed the best. These are the ones I feel like a majority of people really like. I personally feel very, very excited about them. Ren, it's not your time to shine. Sorry about that. I had to let him in. He was needing some cuddles. Now he's pretending like he didn't. Okay, please don't start a ruckus in here. But as I was saying, if any of the products in my favorites category intrigue you or pique your interest, I say go for them. As long as they really seem to fit your vibe or whatever it may be, I don't think you'd be disappointed in any of these products. And then for my liked category, these are the products that I did really enjoy. I just have a few hesitations about them, or I don't find them to be the most unique. I'll go through all of my feelings once I get to the products. And for my disappointments, these are the products I wasn't impressed by, or I just found lackluster, or they didn't perform well. So now that we've settled all that, let's get into it. But before we do so, I'd love for you to subscribe if you aren't already, and let's do this. I have one product that is to be determined, and that is the Tower 28 Sunny Days Tinted SPF. I have a shade that's far too light on me, so it's really hard for me to tell what this product does. I haven't had great experiences with this one this far. It did work out really nicely when I mixed it in with another foundation, but when I wear this one alone, I feel like it's a bit too heavy and greasy on me, and it obviously just looks completely wrong since it's not my right shade. I can't get this on Sephora Canada yet, but I believe we can get it directly from the Tower 28 website. At the moment, I think all the lighter shades are sold out, so I'm gonna have to keep checking on that. But I'm gonna repurchase a deeper shade for me and then I'll figure it out. But right now I haven't had the best experiences with it. But now let's get into my favorites, and I'll just talk about what's on my eyes right now. This is the Melt Cosmetics AMOR y MARIPOSAS palette. Don't speak Spanish. I always get a little bit shy. You guys are gonna roast me once again in the comments, but that's fine. I'm strong. Anyways, this is the palette I'm wearing on my eyes. I really love this palette, and I really like how they kind of remastered the shimmers in here. The last couple of Melt palettes, I was really disappointed in the shimmers. They were very crumbly and dry and flaky, and they were really hard to work with. But these ones are the polar opposite. They're super creamy, they adhere to your lid right away, and they don't go anywhere, and they're super, super vibrant and just very, very effective. Same with the mattes. I'm always such a huge fan of their mattes, but these ones are so bright and pigmented when they go in your eyes, and they're easy to work with, as you'll see in the demo. I did try to do something kind of weird in the demo, so just ignore that once I get the blue shimmer in there, so just ignore that. But overall, really, really excited about this palette, especially for the greens up top here. That's the row that speaks to me the most. I think this is a palette that's very, very worth it. All of the shadows in here work amazingly, and it's a really fun, bright palette to have on hand. I see myself using this one a lot, especially when I want to create some funner, more colorful looks. This has been a palette that I've been reaching for when I want to do so. And I find that the colors in here are quite unique compared to other colorful shadows, or palettes rather. They just have like a different depth to them or something. I don't know. This palette excites me a lot. There's so much you can do in here, and I really appreciate that it's kind of a bigger palette, but it's not humongous or anything or intimidating to look at. I really like how the shadows are laid out in here. It's very approachable and it doesn't overwhelm me. So overall, very happy to have this palette in my collection. I'm for sure going to pull this out a lot when I want to do fun looks for my Shop My Stashes or whatever it may be. Yeah, love it. While we're on the topic of eyeshadow palettes, I might as well talk about the other ones I have here. So this is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. This is my favorite Huda Beauty palette to have come out. I feel very inspired by it when I open it up. It always looks a little bit dusty on camera, but in person it's a lot more dimensional. I really love the shifts in here. There's a fun variety of colors, and I really like how it's a funner approach to a cool toned palette. I need to use this more, but every time I use it, I get so many fun looks out of it, and it's always something a bit different than I'm used to seeing out there. My favorite shades are these three right here because they all have a really fun shift to them, but I think my ultimate favorite shade is this one right here. It's just one of those kind of fun pinky blue shifts that I find so beautiful and so irresistible. I'll swatch the other three that I mentioned. But not only am I really attracted to the color story, I find that the shadows in here aren't as dry as past Huda Beauty palettes. These ones are very creamy and they layer on top of one another really nicely, which was always like my main concern with her palettes, but I feel like it's rejigged a little bit in here and they're more hydrated. So I need to use this one more, but I have loved everything that I've done with this so far. And the last eyeshadow palette that I have to talk about here is the FLORASIS eyeshadow palette. This one right here, the peacock one. This is a very, very fun and obviously gorgeous palette. I really enjoy this one through and through. I find that I get something unique every time I reach for it. But not only do I get like a unique variation of shades on the eye, I find that these shadows actually perform differently than others I've tried in the past. They kind of have like a sheer but impactful formula. Like the mattes go on really nicely, but they have like this luminosity to them, kind of similar to the Hollywood Flawless Filter palettes from Charlotte Tilbury. They give that like Hollywood kind of glow. They're not completely matte. They have like a satinness, you know, like a little bit of a sheen without looking like a metallic on the eye. And they're like a nice high quality feeling sheerer shadow. It's unique and I really enjoy like the shimmer shades in here as well. We have a really fun duochrome here again, kind of similar to the ones in the Huda Beauty palette that I was just talking about, how it looks kind of purple when the light's not hitting it and then it goes to like this greeny teal shade. Gorgeous. I think all of these shades in here perform really nicely and it's so fun to look at. It's like a treasure. This is a brand that I have been really, really excited about, and this holds a lot of that excitement in it. Now I have some skin tints to talk about. I'm actually going to be talking about them in the same breath, but these are the Undone Beauty Unfoundations, so the Glow Tint and the Matte Tint. I am wearing the matte tint all over my face today. I guess I'm more drawn to the matte one just because I have an oilier complexion, but I enjoy how this one isn't like a matte matte. It has like a nice sheen to it, kind of. It has a nice luminosity to it, even though it's matte. It's like a velvet matte foundation, if that makes sense. And the Glow Tint isn't super dewy as well. It's still like a natural finish with a bit more glow compared to this one. I find them to be very, very similar, just the tiniest difference in finishes, but I have been loving both. They have a really nice amount of coverage. They have like the perfect amount of coverage for this kind of skin tint. They're also very buildable and they wear incredibly. They never look like they stand off the face at all. They just sink right in and they become your skin. It's really, really nice. I have been reaching for these so much. So depending if you want more of a matte finish or like a glowier finish, I don't think you can go wrong either way. I get good use out of both of them. Just right now I'm kind of more in a phase with the matte one. But these are gorgeous. Highly recommend them. Talking about Undone Beauty, once again, this is the Conceal to Reveal palette. This is a 3-in-1 coverage cream concealer, which this is such a fun product. I held so much excitement and so much love for this product. I think it's so smart to have like these 3 opacity levels so you can get good use out of this no matter what kind of makeup day you're having. It's good for touch-ups. It's good if you want to conceal some spots around your face and not just use it under the eye. When I'm using this one though, I have had a little bit of a learning curve. You have to kind of melt this one with your fingertip to warm it up under the eye, or you can use a brush as well, but every time I have used a sponge directly, it kind of lifts off and tends to make it look a little bit patchy. So you just have to get that warmth in there and then you're golden. But this is a product I have completely fell in love with, and I think so many people would really love this product and get good use out of it. I only have great things to say about this product. I highly, highly recommend it. So this is a product that is very late to my roundups, but this is the Rare Beauty Brow Harmony brow powder. So you get 2 brow powders in here, and just this packaging is just so handy and unique and perfect. You get a little mirror in here, which is awesome, but on the side here, you get this perfect little brush, and not only that, you pull it again, and surprise, there's the cutest little spoolie here, which is genius. And I love how you just get everything you need to do your brows in one thing in this slender packaging. You can slide it right into your makeup bag if you're a makeup bag person. It's just genius. But the product itself in here is really amazing. I enjoy this brow powder because it's very different from other brow powders I've tried in the past. It's just very hydrated. I believe they say that it's kind of like a putty powder, and that's incredible because it stays in your brows all day, and when you're applying it, the powder doesn't fall all over your face like I've experienced with other brow powders. It just goes in kind of like a powdery cream, which is really interesting. This is one of my favorite products to go to when my eyebrows are freshly tinted and I don't need much. I just need something to fill in the sparse areas. This is my go-to thing, and I've been using this a lot more now that I've been trying to do like a fluffier, lighter brow routine as well. So I'll just do little fine hair-like strokes with this powder, and it looks really nice and soft and natural. Love this stuff. If you are a brow powder person, I think you'd enjoy it. Now I have some more Undone Beauty products here. These are the Lip to Cheek palettes. So this is a 3-in-1 color cream, again, kind of similar to the idea with the concealer palette. This is just suitable for your lips and your cheeks, which I love those kind of products because it's an easy way to get a nice cohesive, flattering look. I love matching my lips to my cheeks. It's just always a good look. And these are the 3 shades that I have currently. This one here is my favorite. It's the shade Rosewood. I also have Rosy, and this last one here is Poppy. So they're all very pretty. It's the same concept, so you get 3 coverage levels, or 3 opacities rather, so light, medium, and full. When I'm applying these as blush, I just kind of dip my brush wherever in here. It doesn't really matter, but for the lips, it's nice to have the option. But again, love these things so much. I find them to be very unique and very handy to have, and I think I'll continue getting so much good use out of these things. I wish I had the Undone Beauty products sooner. I feel like they should have been a part of my collection from the beginning, kind of. Like, they're just so me and they're so good. Highly, highly, highly recommend the brand. So now I have some other fun complexion products. These are the Daniel Sandler Watercolor Liquid Cheek Colors. So these products, my mom actually introduced them to me a long time ago, and I just haven't had the opportunity to use them again. So I was so happy to see these on the Look Fantastic website. So I picked up 4 shades. I have 3 blush shades and 1 highlighting one. The highlighter is so gorgeous. It's very natural, but you still get a little bit of glimmer. It's very flattering. It sinks right into your skin. And the blushes are completely gorgeous. They're really fun because once they're on your cheeks, they kind of dry down to this powdery feel, like a very soft, creamy powder. It's really nice, and they're super easy to work with. I do like using a brush just because it's the quickest, but you can use your fingers. A sponge you can do, but I find that the sponge eats all of the product up, so you waste a bit. It's just a trickier time, you know? These are super, super liquidy, which can feel a little bit intimidating at first, but these are so, so easy to work with. I don't think anyone's going to have any issues there. They diffuse very, very easily, and I can get these on in a matter of seconds. So don't feel stressed about that. They're just easy peasy to work with, and they have gorgeous finishes. My favorite shade here for the blushes, I have Cherub, Chelsea, and Caress. My favorite shade is Chelsea. It's just kind of like a nice nudie kind of peach kind of bronzy shade, really up my alley, but the other 2 are these cute pinky tones. Really happy to have these in my collection again, and they remind me of my mama through and through. So I have 2 other cheek products. This one here is the cream bronzer from SAIE Beauty, the Sun Melt. I use the shade Light Bronze. This is the bronzer I'm kind of wearing today. It just wasn't enough for today's look. I felt like I needed a little bit more, so I went over it with the LYS powder bronzer. But this is such a nice natural cream bronzer. It's super easy to work with. It melts right into your base, and it's pretty sheer. Its sheerness reminds me of the Fenty Beauty cream bronzers without that kind of glossy dew finish. It's a fun one to have on your lighter makeup days because it doesn't add any coverage to the areas you bronze. It's very, very sheer, but still very impactful. I've used this quite a bit on my channel so far for the little time I've had it, but it's going to continue down that path because this is one of the only cream bronzers I've been reaching for as of late. It's phenomenal. I have a powder highlighter to talk about. This is the M Cosmetics SUNSCAPE highlighter. I use the shade Clarity. This is the one I'm wearing on my cheekbones and all the other areas I usually highlight. I really, really enjoy this one. I think this beats my love for the cushion one. It really depends on the vibe I'm going for, but I just like how easy this one is to use. And once it's on your cheeks, it looks just like a cream. It's very similar in the application process as the Ilia one, but this one is a bit more glimmery in finish. It just blends on so quickly, looks so nice and polished and natural. You can build it up a ton. So it's a fun one. You can get a variety of looks with it, but overall it's such a beautiful and creamy looking highlight. I haven't been able to have enough of this. I have been pretty much solely reaching for this highlighter ever since it's arrived into my collection. This is definitely going to make it into my rotation of highlighters. I can't get enough. So I only have a few more products to talk about in my favorites section, and they're all lip products. So this one here is the e.l.f. Cosmetics Sheer Slick Lipstick in the shade Golden Pear. I only have this shade so far, but I do want to expand because this formula is really, really pretty. I really like how it gives like a sheerer vibe, but it still has enough pigment to actually do something compared to a lot of other like tinted lip balms or tinted lipsticks out there. I find that they don't offer that much pigmentation, so it just doesn't do anything, but these ones are worth it. They add a bit of color, and I really like how this one sits so thinly on your lips. You barely notice it's there, but it has a really nice hydrating feeling. I find that this one is quite unique for how thinly it sits on your lips because it gives so much pigment. It adds this beautiful kind of glossy glow, but it's undetectable. It's really, really nice. I think these were quite popular in the last couple months, but I understand why. They're actually gorgeous. And I have another kind of lipstick here. This is a really fun one. These are the Matte Talk lips from Undone Beauty. These are super, super similar to the Glossier Generation G lipsticks or the NARS matte tinted lip balms. They're super similar, but they come in kind of funkier shades. I have 3 shades here. This one is Raspberry, this kind of cool toned purpley pink. I also have this one, which has been my most worn because it's kind of more of a nudie everyday color. It's the shade Baby Beige. And the last one is this beautiful pink. It's kind of like a peachy pink. It's Velveteen. So there they are here. It's really interesting. They look like watercolors when they're on your lips. They're beautiful and vibrant enough, but they're still very sheer, and they're that fun kind of powdery texture like the Glossier Generation Gs or the NARS ones. So if you like those, highly recommend these because they come in funner, brighter colors. The only thing I have to say is that the packaging is kind of flimsy. All 3 of my caps on these are sadly cracked. Here, I'll try to show you as best as I can. There's like a little hair fracture on all of my caps. So they aren't the most secure. So if you are gonna put this in your bag, or your purse rather, you might want to put it in a baggie because you don't want to spill lipstick in your Valentino white bag, right? And the last lipsticks I have to talk about are the ones from FLORASIS. These are my most favorite products that I've tried from the brand this far. They're so, so special to me. I just love them so much. They have the ones that are encased in porcelain here. I always tap them because they make such a nice noise. Or they also have these Love Lock ones, which are really, really fun. Like, how fun is this packaging? It's unlike anything I've seen, but you just push on top of here and the lipstick comes out at the bottom. But the actual lipstick formula is so, so stunning. I find them to be kind of similar to the MAC Powder Kiss lipstick. So they offer that powdery feeling and that blurring effect, and the colors are just so rich and beautiful. I so far only have 3 shades. They're kind of very similar to one another. They just have very little jumps and depths here. But my favorite has been this one over here, which is M303. It's the one that I'm wearing on my lips today underneath a gloss, but they're so beautiful. I've been pretty much solely using these for the last little while here. I knew I was forgetting something about this lipstick. The detail on the actual lipstick is incredible. I'm sneaking out a frame here so it focuses on the tube, but when you look at this product up close, there's like a whole story within it. It's incredible. It's such a special experience whenever I use them. They feel just very precious to me. I feel like Schmiegel with these lipsticks, like my little precious bean of a lipstick. I love you so much and I'd do anything for you. Why am I talking about Schmiegel? Time to move on to my likes. That's all of my favorites from November and December. So kicking off my likes, we're gonna talk about the SAIE Slip Tint. And I've only had amazing experiences with this so far. I just am a bit nervous about this in the warmer months. I feel like this is going to be far too dewy and slippery for my skin type around those months. I feel like I'm going to have to reserve this for fall and winter, but I'm curious to know your experiences. If you've tried this out and you live in a warmer place, let me know how it's worked for you. I think that's my only hesitation with this product. I've used this a bunch of times now and it's only been beautiful. Things layer beautifully on top and it wears really nicely on top of all of the primers I've tried with it this far. I think that's my only reservation about this product. I don't know how it's going to be for like all year round use. I think this is a product that is definitely more suited to those of you who have a normal skin type or a dry skin type, but for us who have oily skin, I think we have to be a little bit cautious with this guy. It tends to transfer a bit. It's pretty dewy on your skin, so it's not going to be mask proof or anything along those lines. So just wanted to mention that. It does look gorgeous on the skin, but there are a few downsides to this product for sure. Now I have a powder here. This is the Dear Dahlia Skin Paradise Soft Velvet Finishing Powder. This is a powder that grows on me more and more every time I use it. I find it to be very comparable to some of my all-time favorite powders I have in my collection, but there's just something that's keeping me from loving this powder fully. I tend to forget about it every time. Like I have to visually see it and be like, oh yeah, I forgot you existed. Although it reminds me very much of like my Pat McGrath one, just a tinted version of my Pat McGrath under eye powder, or the Kosas one, or the Charlotte Tilbury one, or the LYS one. It does have that nice blurring effect to it. So I don't know if it's because it hasn't wowed me as much as those ones I've been using for a long time or what, but it is a very beautiful powder, and I like how it's in a loose form compared to pressed like all the other ones I just mentioned. So I think this is going to for sure be rotated throughout my powders, but I don't know if it's ever going to be like my #1 favorite of all time. I have a highlighter to talk about from FLORASIS. I really enjoy this one. The only downside for me for this one is its shade. It was far too light for me, so it looked super icy against my skin tone and it never looked the most natural. But if I had the shade deeper than this one, I think I would be golden, because this one sinks right into your skin, but it still offers a really fun effect. Here, I'll swatch it on my skin so you can see. Like it just sinks right into your skin and doesn't enhance any texture. It's super pretty. Like look at that. Gorgeous. So I think the only downside to me in this one is its shade. Otherwise it's gorgeous through and through. So the next product I'm going to be talking about is the Revolution Mega Bronzer. I have the shade Too Warm, and sadly this one is just too deep for my skin. I think it performs well, like it blends out really nicely and it does what a matte powder bronzer does pretty well. It just doesn't strike me as the most unique. I don't think I would really reach for this one. And the last thing that's kind of picky on my end is I don't like the way this one smells. It smells super makeup-y. It just like wafts into the air when you open the product up. So I don't think that's going to be one that I reach for, but the way it performs is pretty good. It does blend out flawlessly. It just looks like a normal matte powder bronzer that you can get from pretty much all of the brands out there. It wasn't the most unique, but it does what it's supposed to do, I guess. So next up, I have the Melt Cosmetics blush palette here, and I thought I was going to adore this thing just because I love pretty much all of the blushes that come my way, but I actually, like, I didn't find it to be that impactful on my life, I guess. Speaking about the formulas themselves, the matte ones are nice. I don't find them to be the most unique out there, but speaking about the ones that have a sheen to them, being this one right here and this one over here, they enhance my texture so badly. I just don't like the way they look on my cheeks at all. As you'll see in the demo, you'll see what I mean there. But yeah, I just don't think I'll reach for this one as much. I'm not in love with the color story, so I don't think I'm going to get the use that this palette deserves. I think this is going to be a palette that I gift to someone else. I just find like a lot of the shades don't flatter my skin tone. So that's about it. It just didn't super work out. So now I'm going to be talking about the Undone Beauty water blush as well as the bronzer. I'm going to be talking about these in the same breath because they're pretty much the same formula. So these are really, really cool, very unique to my collection, and I enjoy how they look when they're applied properly. I just find them to have like a big learning curve just because these are water-based products. They dry out on you very quickly, which can lead to patchiness issues. So I feel like I haven't fully figured these ones out yet. I find that these perform best like on bare skin. If you're doing like a no foundation day, then it performs really nicely, but it's kind of hit or miss on top of foundations since they can kind of argue whatever's underneath of it. That's my only gripe with these, but otherwise they're so fun to use and they're very unique. It's so cool. Same with the blushes, they're gorgeous. This shade Merlot is so fun. It's such a nice berry wine color and it just looks like a stain once it's on your cheeks. So yeah, I think all in all, I just fully haven't figured these products out to their fullest. I am still playing with some techniques, but yeah, you have to work with them very quickly before they start to patch up on you. I have another Undone Beauty product here. This is the Big Poppa Gloss in the shade Peach and Honey. So this gloss formula is beautiful. It offers everything I like about glosses. The only downside for me and what I think is going to prevent me from using this a lot is its intense fake watermelon scent. If they removed the scent, these would probably become some of my all-time favorite glosses. They're such a nice, gorgeous, glassy sheen and they stay a while. They feel very nice and hydrating. They feel like a more intense version of the Kosas wet lip glosses, oils. Wet lip oils, yes. And I also love its name, Big Poppa Gloss. It's hilarious. And I love the wand. It's a Big Poppa Gloss wand. I don't know. These just crack me up. I really like them. I just can't get behind their scent. And the last product for my likes are the ColourPop Level Up Lengthening Mascaras. So these are beautiful mascaras when you first receive them. The brown shade is perfect. It's not too dark of a brown. It truly looks brown on your lashes. The only thing that I have with this mascara is that they dry out way too quickly. Like these pretty much have to be going in the bin now because they're just like far too dry for me to use. When you first receive them, they come at that perfect consistency, kind of like those mascaras that have been marinating in your collection for a bit. When they kind of thicken up and dry out a bit, they arrive to you in that condition. They're incredible for the first couple weeks, but then they start to dry out and it's really hard to work the product through your lashes. They kind of chunk up at the base and it's hard for you to get the beautiful lengthened look that these should offer you. So yeah, that's my sad news about these mascaras. I feel like for this brown one, I'm going to fight for its life. I'm gonna do all the tricks with like the setting spray or the like eye drops just to rehydrate this mascara because this brown is so worth it. So that's my updated news on these mascaras. Kind of sad because I love these things. So now let's move on to my disappointments or the products that were just unremarkable to me. So I'm gonna start off with my least favorite product of the month. These are the Mina the Cream eyeshadows. I didn't film like a demo shot for these because I was like, I'm never gonna put these things on my eyes again. I did not have a good experience in the slightest. These are so dry. They just kind of make your eyelids look so wrinkly. They just make them into little raisins and it's so uncomfortable and unflattering looking on your lids. And it also kind of irritated my eyes at the end of the day when I wore these that first time. I never tested these ones out again after my first impressions just because like I know them through and through now. I was like, I know you fully and you have no hope. I'm sorry, but these are terrible cream shadows. I would stay away from them for sure. This one is sad because I love Megan Thee Stallion, but this name of this eyeshadow palette is unfortunate because I think it manifested something it did not want to. This is the Big Bad palette from Revlon and the Megan Thee Stallion collection. I really dislike this formula. It feels like it's going to be really nice and creamy, but these do not adhere to my lids at all. especially if you try to build up pigment. Like, you'll only be able to get that initial layer and you won't be able to get any further from that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it in my demo shot there. It just really struggles at building up, and they are not long wearing at all. I find that they kind of sink into my lids and disappear. I don't know where they go, but they go somewhere. And also it's a super flaky eyeshadow formula. Like, even just looking at the palette when it's closed here, you can see how crumbly and flaky it is. Even if you go in with the lightest pressure with your brush, it just explodes in kickback. So this one is no bueno for me. I do not recommend that palette. Next up is the NYX the Marshmallow Primer. This one comes with like 10 claims, I believe. It's like it's supposed to blur, it's supposed to do this and that and this and that and this. To me, it just did absolutely nothing. It just felt like a moisturizer underneath of my foundations or my skin tints or whatever I was using that day, and it didn't offer anything of those claims. It was just like an additional product that I didn't need. There's no blurring action, there was no changes in longevity, there was just nothing. So to me, it's just like money for nothing, unless you want like a moisturizer to put under your makeup, but I recommend just using like a normal skincare moisturizer. This is a highlighter from LYS. Now listen, I love pretty much everything from LYS. I did not get along with their highlighters at all. The powder highlight was a part of like another one of my roundups, I believe, but this is the liquid version, and I had such high hopes for this one. It looked beautiful when I swatched it, but that was like an opaque swatch. When it's on your actual cheeks, you can barely see that it's there. It just does something so minimal that it's just like, why did I spend money on this? Like, I love a natural looking highlight, but I still want it to look like I'm wearing a highlight, if that makes any sense. I don't want to spend money to get no effect. And I tried to build up this formula, but sadly this one does dry down, so it just ends up looking very patchy. I just did not have a good experience with this one. I struggled with it a lot, and it just didn't end up working for me. Next up, I have the FLORASIS powders. These are pretty much the same powder, just in different forms. This one here is the loose version, and this one is the pressed version. I really had high hopes for these ones because they feel very similar to like my Pat McGrath powders. They have that very fine milled finish. They look very similar to the loose and pressed versions of the Pat McGrath powders, but these just kind of don't do anything for me. I find whenever I use these powders, it makes my skin look really dull and lifeless. Under the eyes, it does offer like a little bit of blur, but it doesn't last long. I find that it kind of gets weird with the concealer. I don't know, I just haven't had the best experiences. Sadly, I wanted to love these so much because how fun are these components? Like, they're stunning through and through, but the actual formula of the powders just didn't work for me, so I don't see myself getting a good use out of these products, no matter how much I want them to work, because they're so beautiful. This is another FLORASIS product. I think this was just not made for me and my preferences or my eye shape, but this is their mascara, which is so fun. Like, look at this wand. It's so cool looking, but it didn't work out for me. It didn't really do anything to my lashes. I like length and volume and more of a dramatic lash look, I guess, but this one offers a very natural, fluffy looking lash. It just didn't give the effect I'm looking for. But if you have like smaller eyes and you love that more natural looking appearance, I think you'd really enjoy this one. And this one has a crazy good longevity to it. Like, it's really hard to remove at the end of the day, but it stays put and it's not going to smudge, flake, or crumble at all. So that's good, just didn't match my preferences. Now we've arrived to my last product. These are the incredible Jammy Lips, or the lacquered lip tints. I had so much hope for these because these give a very similar vibe to the Charlotte Tilbury tinted lip balms, both formulas, the ones that are in the skinnier tube and like the lip balm tube, or the M Cosmetics lip cushions, or the Wet n Wild sheer lipsticks that I love so much. I thought that these were going to kind of fit into that category, but these are way too thick. Like, they apply way too thick of a layer, and it's very sticky and uncomfortable on your lips. They're far too gloopy. They're just very gloopy. Although they look freaking beautiful against your skin on a swatch, they just are way too thick. Look at that. It just gets everywhere and it's not comfortable. It's just a sticky situation that I would rather not have, but that's it. very sad about that. But there we have it. That is my November and December roundup for you. Sorry this one came a little bit late, but better late than never, right? But that is all for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful. If you did, please give this video a like. It would help me out so very much. I'll make sure to link all of these products in the description down below, so feel free to check them out if you'd like, and I will see you in the next one. Love you. Bye!